100 boats and one final full-on tactical energy-sapping race. The crystal clear water of Lake Garda has drawn an entry list that reads like a who's who of racing, with a few sailing legends thrown into the mix. The eyes of the sailing world are firmly set on this iconic venue. 96 teams from 23 countries, 20 star world champions, 5 Olympic medalists, and another 10 Olympians are among the sailors duking it out. For the first time, professionals as well as amateurs join in fierce competition alongside star-class stalwarts who try to win the star-class European title, 2,500 SSL ranking points, and the lion's share of the $100,000 US prize pot. Conditions are set to test the best of the best. It's the final full-on fleet race. Who will make the cut? We're about to find out. Welcome to Riva del Garda and the first ever Star Sailors League Breeze Grand Slam. Well, these are live shots from Lake Garda. We're about to go into race number 9 of the qualifying series. We're in the final day of the SSL Breeze Grand Slam. That's the committee boat there. And let's have a look at the schedule. Well, we started on Wednesday, where we had 2 races, 3 races Thursday, Friday 1, and we're expecting 2 races this morning before the qualifying rounds. Only 10 boats will survive into this afternoon. Whoever leads the qualifying series will get a leap into the final, where just 4 boats will race, and whoever is second in the qualifying rounds will leap into the semi-finals, where 7 boats are racing there, 6 boats. So, Prof, in the studio, Maurice O'Connell, you're a previous Olympic star campaigner and coach, and we've been watching the progression of this fleet throughout the week, and we've had an exciting day. We're up early to get these last 2 races away.
Yeah, early start for everybody this morning, 6 a.m. alarm call, cold northerly breeze blowing, and pretty windy already, Digby, so a mouth-watering prospect in store for the final chance to qualify for the final for these teams.
And unexpectedly windy, actually, because when we got up it was a bit soft, but it seems to be blowing well.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the video, the VT there this morning looks like 15, 16 knots out on the race course. So another 2 races of hard hiking and kinetic downwind sailing. And it'll be fascinating just to see the battle for the first and second spots to get those all-important buys into the final and semi-final. And also the really, really important battle for the last boats to get into the top 10. The O'Leary brothers are just 4 points behind Hubert Minkelblack back, who's in 10th, and then just behind the O'Leary brothers are the very, very talented Croatians on 6 points further back from them. So it's all going to be about those guys trying to get into the top 10, Digby, so it'll be fascinating.
Well, just before the boats went out, I caught up with Giancarlo, Crevatin, and the principal race officer, and this is what he had to say about racing today. Giancarlo, just what's the plan today?
The plan for today is a very early race, because we are going to start at 8:30. The wind is coming from north. It is already steady here, so we have to come back to the racing area that we used yesterday and sail 2 races before 10 in this morning.
Okay, so you're going to get the full qualifying series in?
Yeah, we want to finish the qualifying series. We have already at home our championship that is called race, but we want to have 10 races, so the program for today is to sail the last 2 races.
And I mean, we're you know, an hour and a half before your start. How it is beginning to fill in. Is there going to be enough?
Yeah, I think that the wind is already enough even in this area, but on the sailing area that is over there is more and more pressure, and so the forecast call for us this morning around 10 knots, 12 knots, so maybe we have the same condition that yesterday.
Well, same conditions as yesterday, and there is Giancarlo out on the committee boat setting his course. Prof there in slight delay mode just to set the line and the top mark, but we can see the sails flapping and plenty of breeze out there.
Yeah, white caps on the water, just at the tops of the waves. So probably looking at about 16 knots of breeze right now, Digby. And the teams will be just making their final calculations and assessment of the line bias and trying to decide what their strategy is going to be for the first upwind leg.
Well, an onboard shot of Dr. Hubert Merkelbach with Marcus Coy, the big Germans. They're lying 10th overall at this stage after 8 races. So very much our eyes are going to be on this German duo to see if they can stay in the top 10 and survive through to this afternoon. Let's have a look at the course, Prof, and see whereabouts we are on Lake Garda. Well, flying up from the southern part, the wider part of the lake, due to the narrower northern part of the lake. And there is actually snow on the mountain peaks, so it's fairly cool out here in northern Italy. And again, like yesterday, we have a northern breeze, which means that the start line will be south and they'll be racing towards the coast where we are in Riva and Torboli to the right hand side. Those two little towns there at the top of our screen, and that is the wind direction. A northerly breeze coming down from the mountains, and this is what the locals call the Peller, and it's mixed a little bit with other mountain breezes. Shirley Robertson, two-time Olympic gold medalist on the water. Shirley, over to you.
Well, Digby, they hailed this event as the Breeze Grand Slam, and it's certainly not disappointing. I mean, it's currently 16 to 18 knots. It's obviously early in the morning, and it's northerly wind. It's very cold. Today is not for the faint-hearted. 2 fleet races, and then obviously if you're in the final, potentially 3 more races after that. So really cold, physical day in store. I was just thinking, if I'm Mateusz Kuznerovic or I'm Robert Scheid, I'd be really trying to finish this series in first place, and then at least your body gets a rest, you've time to refuel before that big finale. A really big day here on Lake Garda, but I guess that's what we came for.
Well, confirmation from the race committee that there are 15 to 18 knots. The wind is 10 to 15 degrees. And Prof, they are going for 1.6 nautical miles.
Yeah, 1.6 nautical miles, first upwind leg, possibly slightly shorter than what we've seen. So it should see some entertainment at the windward mark. We're also seeing the red and white postponement flag just flying. Our information is that they're going to just have a short postponement while they try and get the course together.
Well, Prof, let's take a look at the overall leaderboard and see who is safely in that top 10, who is in the danger zone. Well, big turnaround yesterday because Robert Scheid, Henry Björning were comfortably, well, they were 2 points ahead going into yesterday's races, and now the Polish-Portuguese duo Mateusz Kuznerovic and Federico Melo with their first and their third from yesterday's racing are now 5 points clear. And we should emphasize that whoever wins the qualifying round, whoever's top of the leaderboard, gets a jump straight into the final. So whoever wins this qualifying round, there's a lot at stake because they know they're going to be in the top 4 overall. Scheid and Groening are second now with 25 boats. Negri clean, the Italian-German duo on 39 points. Paul Cayard and Arthur Lopez are in fourth. The American duo, Doyle and Infeliz, fifth. Rohard and Ponceau with their first yesterday in race number 8. They are in sixth. Benemati and Ambrosini, the local Italian sailors, in seventh overall. The Swedish-American duo, Luf and Fatih, are in eighth on 65 points. And now, Prof, I think we're into the danger zone slightly with Ivan Melleby, Josh Revkin, the Norwegian-American duo, on 81. Dr. Hubert Merkelbach, Marcus Coy, who we have on board with today, 85 points. And then the O'Leary brothers, they're on 89 points in 11th. Missouri and Barak, the Croatian team, 95. And Alat and Van der Hooden also with a shout of getting into the top 10. Santoni, Lambertenghi from Torboli, local heroes on 100. And as we go down through there at the bottom, Zabo and Avalon in 20th. So that is the shape of the leaderboard, Prof, and our story is really going to be about who is going to survive.
Yeah, it really is about the teams that are now on the cusp of qualification for the top 10. So the Germans, Merkelbach and Big Marcus Coy, are inside there on 86 points, and the O'Learys are just outside on 89. And then just after them, there's the talented Croatian pair who are on 95, so they're 6 points back again. So it'll be all about those guys and where they shape up, especially after this race 9.
Well, we had two good races yesterday. Let's get a little flavour as we're in postponement fashion. Just a few minutes. The guys are setting up the race course. We'll be back with race number 9 in just a minute. But let's get a flavour of races 7 and 8 from yesterday.
Fiery Brazilian and 5-time Olympic medalist Robert Scheidt with Henry Björning relinquished the overall lead of the SSL Breeze Grand Slam and Star Europeans to the Polish-Portuguese duo Mateusz Kuznedowicz and Frederico Melo, who nailed race 7, their third win so far.
On with the winners, and Mateusz, we saw you cross that line and give a big fist pump. It meant a lot to win that race.
Oh yeah, for sure. First of all, welcome back. we have you quite often, and this is amazing actually. This is third race of the championship we are winning. Yeah, this is very important moment of the regatta, because now we are fighting for the top standing, and first we'll go directly to the final. Second will go to the semi-final. So this is the big benefit, and we maybe during the race we are not thinking about it, but when you ask now, that means a lot to us.
French duo Xavier Rohard and Pierre-Alexis Ponceau won race 8 to see them firmly in the top 10.
Big smiles on board this boat. I mean, that was a huge smile.
Yeah, finally it was important for us to show that we can win, we can be there for the final, we can be and everything, so that's very important.
Lake Garda provided physically demanding and tactical racing for the fleet with the Pelair wind from the north. With one more day to go, the overall leaderboard looks like this, with safe spots for the likes of Paul Cayard and Arthur Lopez, Freddie Lou and Brian Fatih. But as only 10 will survive into the quarters, semis and finals, 10th placed Merkelbach and Coy, 11th placed O'Leary and 12th placed Missouri and Barak are in the danger zone.
Yeah, we've been chipping away at the kind of just outside, and today we've probably suited us a little more. It wasn't so one-sided, and you know, we just stuck at it, and the weather is probably a bit like home, so it made us no worries. We're tricky enough conditions. We were kind of a little bit higher in the last race, dropped a few spots, but just if you can kick in solid scores, single digits, will get you home in this regatta. So.
Check out the action on Super Sunday when $100,000 will be shared by the top 20.
Well, Prof, Good little insight from Peter O'Leary there, sailing with his brother Robert. They're in 11th spot in that little danger zone. They did really well yesterday, and you know these guys.
Yeah, you know, it was really interesting talking to Peter after sailing. You know, just his analysis of the race course yesterday, where the left-hand side of the course was looking strong, but he identified that between two headlands there was a breeze line, and if you got beyond that breeze line, that's why the left didn't pay towards the top of that upwind, and you had to work further to the right. But it's just an insight into the strategic mind that's at work here, that he was able to do that analysis of the race course. So yeah, big day for Peter and Robert.
Well, you can see the little red and white flag on the committee boat, as every fleet racer around the world recognises as a postponement. But the race committee on our WhatsApp group is telling us that they are going to start in how many minutes, Prof?
8:45 start. Orange flag should be up pretty soon.
That's 5, 6, 7 minutes or so. Okay, 7 minutes 20. Before we go into our race coverage, let's get a little insight into this Pellair northerly breeze from local coach Fabio Zaini. Fabio Zaini. You're the local coach here, laser coach, and if anybody can explain the fabulous wind generator of Lake Garda, it's you, Fabio. So describe, what do we have now? We're 5 p.m. What kind of wind do we have?
Yeah, today is a little bit strange because we have this north wind. We have still this north wind also in the afternoon because as you can see, the weather is not so good, it's not so sunny, but anyway, you can sail. This north wind is a mix of two winds in general. We have this wind coming from that valley, which is Balino Valley, and otherwise we have the winds coming from the river valley, from Sarka Valley, and then on the lake you have the mix of those two winds, and this is the famous Pellair.
Now, what is the aura? I've heard about this aura.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes, the aura wind is the typical thermical wind. In the typical sunny day, it will start from 12 and it will blow till 7 in the afternoon, 8.
So the aura would be coming up the lake and funneling in.
So when all these rocks get warm, this wind will start. And then also helps a lot this this valley, the river valley, the Sarka Valley, because it's very flat and the wind can accelerate, and also this on north of Garda Lake, it's very small, and also the wind have a push.
Yeah, a compression,
yes.
Almost, a funneling compression. There is it Venturi?
Venturi.
Hey!
Yes, it's in Italian. Effetto Venturi.
Of course, an Italian word. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
So
you prefer racing with the Pele. Explain why.
yeah, I like to race and to train with this north wind because you have to play with this big shift and also with big gust, as you can see the star coming in. So it's a little bit tricky, and you have to play. I like to play with the winds and with this condition.
Oh, Fabio, thank you so much. That's a good insight. You are now our wind guru.
Yeah, thanks. I hope.
Well, actually, Prof, he's got it dead right, because that's exactly the condition we have now with the Pellair coming in from the cold mountains. And it's a really good insight because it's far more tactical, which is different from the aura where they all just kind of bang right and go towards the cliffs. Now they're going to have to tack a lot more and play the shifts, and it's a far more open game.
Yeah, what we saw yesterday was, sometimes the right-hand side paid on the course, sometimes the left-hand side. If the wind shifts to the left, then you want to get to the left, and vice versa on the right. So the skill is going to be how you can read those wind shifts and position both tactically to take advantage of them.
Well, out on the water, Shirley Robertson. Shirley, whereabouts are you in relation to the committee boat?
Digby, I'm right beside the committee boat. We've just had the 4 minutes, so not long to go until this 8th race of the series. I think there's going to be a massive fight at the pin end. It is pin end favoured. Everybody knows this racetrack. They raced in it yesterday and will know, how dominant that left-hand side is early on. So expecting a big fight on that left-hand side. It's really breezy, Digby, and it's choppy as well at the bottom half of the course. It obviously flattens off as they get back towards Riva. So tough conditions, cold conditions, and all ready for a big fight in this race.
Thanks, Shirley. Now we're under 3 minutes in sequence. Prof, we were looking at Kuznirovic and Mello. There's Robert Scheid, Henry Björning. Those two boats top of the leaderboard. There are the O'Learys in their green bibs. The Irish boat, only Irish entry here. And Prof, we're looking, Shirley thinks, at a port and pin end bias.
Yeah, typically speaking, the race officer here has set a pretty significant port end bias. And as Shirley says, the gains are initially on the left-hand side of the course, but as you progress further up, we've seen the course open out a little bit, and certainly Kuznirovic and Rohart played the top right or middle right further up the track, but the gains are certainly initially left.
Coming up to 2 minutes, and the boats lining up. They've probably decided by now exactly where they want to start, and here we're on board with Hubert Merkelbach, Marcus Coy in 10th overall position. Hubert just warning somebody. And this is the exciting jostling for position for that all-encompassing, all-crucial start.
Yeah, it's all about management now of your time and distance to the start. You're looking to go be in the front row of all the boats, but obviously when you get to the front row, you can't get too close to the line. You can see the U flag is flying, Digby, so that means if you're over the line with 1 minute to go, you're disqualified if the race isn't recalled or postponed. So the race officer is taking no chances here. He wants to get this flight away first goal.
1 minute to go. The U flag, the red and white checkered flag goes down. The sails are crackling. The sailors are in position. They've made their commitment to where they want to start on this start line. The whole bunch just underneath the committee boats. Virtual can give us a quick view of the overheads of where they are on the start. There's a few at the pin end, but Prof, 30 seconds to go, and this is going to be an absolutely cracking race.
Yeah, cracking setup here. Most boats probably 2 or 3 lengths back from the line now, just managing their speed carefully to try and hit the line at full pace. 20 seconds to go now. We can see them start to accelerate. Big line sag in the middle, so the guys at the port end will be looking just to nail that pin and head to the left.
Well, here we go. Let's follow the countdown. And as our camera pans right, you'll see the pin end down right of picture. And off they go for race number 9 of the Star Sailors Breeze Grand Slam, combined with the Star European Championship. Some audio from on board, so you can feel the tension amongst these sailors, Prof.
Yeah, some choice there from one of the crews coming off. But here's Kuznirovic and Mado. Looks like they've had a fantastic start, with already plenty of boats behind them in their dirty air. Full hiking, toes underneath the hiking straps, and they're in acceleration mode now to clear the line.
Okay, boom, off they go, and this is as much breeze as we've seen in the SSL Breeze Grand Slam. That's why we're here on Lake Garda with these, the natural wind generator in northern Italy.
Yeah, you can see the Russian team here on port tack. Alcohol bar type sails, super flat, and you need the sails flatter and flatter as the wind increases.
Well, we have an onboard camera with Mizura and Barac from Croatia. They are next to Kuznirovic and Mello, but whoever nailed that pin is mathematically in the lead. It's Grail and Truch.
Yeah, cracking started well from the young Italian Gallinaro, the current laser radial European champion, and he started 3 boats up, or 1 boat up from the pin, and yeah, really nice start from the young Italian. And we've got former world champion Aldi Diaz and Bruno Prada, multiple Olympic medalists, 3 boats up from the pin heading left. But interestingly, we've got some of the key players here who started kind of middle third of the line. Xavier Rohart and Pierre-Alexis Ponceau, kind of bottom of the middle third of the line. Krznjerovic to windward of them, and Melby and Revkin. So interesting actually that some of the key players started towards the middle of the line, not taking advantage of some of that initial some of that line bias towards the port end.
Well, Shirley Robertson is on one of our camera boats on the water. Shirley, an update from you, if you could.
Well, Prof was spot on. I mean, I think nearly all the main players started at the left-hand third of the line, but not all of them pressing for, for the start. And I guess if you're in the top 10, this race is about, managing risk, getting a good start, but not necessarily, taking all the risk and fighting for the pin. About half the fleet is still very much going towards the cliffs on the left-hand side. We're currently on the right-hand side with some of the back markers, but still a battle, still a drag race into the cliffs there before we get further up the course, and there's some more tactical options.
Thank you, Shirley. Well, on the left of our screen, we have the mathematical lead line. It's still early days, Prof, and rather hard to say, but the guys out on the left, Gallinaro and Weiser, Grail and Trusch, doing well at this stage in the race.
Yeah, it's great early showing from the young Italian, and he'll be absolutely delighted with that. So there are some new faces a little bit showing in the early part of this race, but you can see some of the top players there now bunching around 6, 7, 9, 10, 12. So it's just, this is just the initial drag race out to the left, and then we'll see some more tactical positioning as we progress up this race course. So you can see on the screen here now some of the mid-fleet guys on port tack heading to the right, probably slightly overheeled in that shot, and they just need to sail a little bit flat on the port.
Well, we're seeing virtually the position of Rohart, Ponceau, the O'Leary brothers, and Krznjerovic, Mello and Mizura and Barach in the middle, but interesting, there's Negri and Clean as well. Yeah. So a good crowd on the left-hand side as they look up the racetrack.
Yeah, some boats already onto port tack, Digby, looking to come out of that left-hand side initially. So not sure, is it that they just dropped into some of the boats that started to lure of them, or maybe they're just looking to work back into the middle. So it looks like Rohart, O'Leary, Melby and Krznjerovic all on port tack now, and it's really interesting here now. Everybody is just rolling over onto port and flipping at the same time.
Well, hard hiking. I'm not sure who that is, Prof.
Yeah, Argentinian helm anyway that we can see, but you can see the strain at the back of the quad muscles there on the corner of the boat, and tiller on the right hand side, upper runner in the left hand side, and nice smooth tiller movement here by the Argentinian. Looking over his shoulder, just looking at the track and seeing if there are any tactical options or any wind shifts coming down the course.
Well, Grail and Trusch towards the left at the top of our screen, holding the mathematical lead line, that pink line that we can see on virtual. Diaz and Prada are in that little mix there, as are Negri and Clean, Santoni and Lambertenghi, the duo from Torboli, local sailors who know this lake like the back of their hand. But Lars, Grail and Pedro Trusch That's them in their green bibs from Brazil.
Yeah, beautiful execution of the first third of this race by Lars and Pedro. What for me now is going to be interesting is where is Robert Scheidt and Henry Bionig. We haven't seen them yet, and it'll be really interesting to see where they are on this racetrack. But a fabulous first third of this leg by former world champion Lars Grail and Pedro Trusch.
Well, Virtual is flying us around in the fantastic way that it does. And there's Melevi Rezkin, Kuznidovic, and Melo Mizura Barak. And the guys at Virtual can tell us where Scheidt and Bionig are. So they're beginning to pile back into the middle of the racetrack. Prof still left hand favoured. The guys who started towards the pin are still in an advantageous position.
Bearing in mind that Lars Grail started towards the pin end of the line and has now got a significant advantage on Virtual Eye, it would tell me that the breeze has probably ticked left a little bit, so the majority of the top guys are now on port and just hanging out in this left-hand wind shift and waiting. And we've just seen Scheidt set up to windward of Kuznidovic, so he's towards the middle of the course, and they'll be waiting now for that right-hander that we've seen towards the top end of the course to come back into the left again. So
Scheidt right next to Kuznidovic, the top two overall regatta leaders, neck and neck in the middle of the pack. That's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. The top 10 guys are all clung together here, Digby, and nobody wanting to make too much of a break and to take on too much risk in the initial part. So I guess they're all just managing the risk right now, as Shirley said, and really just keeping an eye on each other. But it'll be interesting to see at what point do some of these top guys tap back onto starboard here and see if they can reconnect with the guys on the left-hand side. I'm just seeing Grail and Trusch just drop back now, so perhaps this breeze is starting to move to the right a little bit, and Xavier Rohart and Pierre Alexis Ponceau nicely positioned there if this breeze continues to move to the right-hand side.
I'm going to throw to Shirley Robertson just for a second. Shirley, Virtual Eye is showing us that Scheidt, Bionig, Kuznidovic and Melo are right next to each other. And of course there are 5 points between them overall. Do you think tactically that one or the other will be just trying to cover them and focus on that race, Shirley?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Digby. It could be quite the battle on this downwind leg, I think, where they really be going for it. It'd be some massive advantage to go into the finals, and on a windy day like this, on a long day like this, to go into the finals in first or second place, and they'll be fighting hard to try and make that happen in these qualification races. Prof, I think, is spot on. It's actually started to rain pretty hard. To me, the breeze has gone left a click, and I'm slightly concerned. We're just beside Lars Grail, and I'm slightly concerned about him. He's further out. His bow is down a little bit, and to me, they look higher in by the shore. And Digby, they're so close to that shore. I mean, you could literally, throw them a picnic. They're so tight right along that shoreline there, and obviously, the lake is really deep, so plenty of options to do that. I think there's a lot to go in this speed as we approach the second half of it. And if we remember back to yesterday, the second half of this speed is when it really began to get interesting. Lots more opportunities, coming out to the right-hand side. And I think this speed will just start to get a little bit more focus as we get towards the top marks.
Thanks, Shirley.
Yeah, Xavier Rohart and Pierre Alexis Ponceau now on Virtual Eye are showing that they're just drawing ahead. So it's they're continuing their strong run of form from yesterday in the early part of this race. And the left-hand side, hard left now, where the O'Leary brothers are, is not looking so good. So it's a real open race course now, actually, where the guys in the middle seem to be just drawing ahead. and Krishnerovic, Melby, Rohart, and the young Italian Gallinaro are out there in the middle. Gallinaro just dropping back a little bit because this is a port tack drag race, and on screen here we've got Xavier and Pierre Alexis still on port, dragging back into the middle, and yeah, hard hiking, tough, cold conditions. And you can see Pierre Alexis, hands above the head, trying to exert maximum leverage on the boat so that Xavier can really sail with full power and fast.
Well, the French duo Rohart-Ponceau clearly coming into form at the right time. They won race number 8 yesterday, which was a real boost to their confidence going into race number 9. And look at them, Prof, at the front.
Here, jib sheet a little bit too loose. You really just got to pull the jib sheet those 10 millimeters at the end, which is the most difficult bit, and that really unloads the helm of the boat and keeps the boat going fast. So it's just such a sensitive boat, Digby, to these minor, very fine adjustments in trim, and you just got to get all those little small things right.
There's our virtual view. The front runners beginning to bunch together in the middle. We can see Krishnerovic, Mello, Scheid, Björning still right next to each other. That's going to be a fascinating battle all around this racetrack.
Yeah, we're seeing, compared to yesterday now, much more of an even split across the racecourse. In general, yesterday people worked the mid-left, but we're now the top players are right down the centre of the course, and it's such a tough drag race now on port tack, and I would expect that they'll probably continue on another small bit, but the left-hand side is caving badly here for the O'Learys, and it really looks as if the middle right is coming through.
Well, here's Norwegian Ivan Melleby with American Josh Revkin. They are right on the cusp of qualifying at the moment. 9th overall going into this race, working their way upwind and doing a fabulous job at the moment, Prof.
Yeah, we haven't seen a whole lot of Ireland in this regatta so far. I mean, obviously an outstanding sailor, former world champion, but he certainly put the first half to 2/3 of this race together really nicely, and is charging along upwind there very well. Ireland is currently in 9th position, and this is setting him up quite nicely here.
Well, Ivan was chatting away yesterday and telling us that he's going to push like hell in this race, just to claw his way ahead. We haven't seen an awful lot of him in our cameras during the week. You know, they've stayed in the pack, but here they are coming out, all guns blazing.
Yeah, super first 2/3 of this upwind by the Norwegian American pairing, and they're certainly kind of first and second right now, and yeah, really solid early showing from them. It's interesting really how poor the left is playing out. That certainly wasn't the case yesterday, and the right hand side is just starting to come through.
Well, Robert Scheid just tacking on top of Freddie Loof there, so great little match race going on.
So this is the first play now as the guys to the middle right of the course attack back onto starboard, and yeah, a little change of equipment is there with Scheid, and he's just set up there to windward of Freddie Loof and Brian Fatigue.
Well, that's a good battle going on, so plenty of interesting duels out on the racetrack. Marin Rizura, Tonko Barach there, Marin, Finn Junior World Champ, and Laser Supremo as a youngster. And these guys have raced a great series so far.
I'd expect Rohart and Melby to tap pretty soon, Digby, because they're just getting to the right now of the key players that attack behind them, and I'd expect that they'll roll over pretty soon and start heading back to the left.
Well, that was Lars Grell and Pedro Trusch just ahead of Robert Scheidt and Freddie Loop. So it's all going on there, threading and weaving their way upwind. Good battle at the front between Rohart and Ponceau Melby, Redkin, Gallinero and Weiser in the mix there. Kuznirovic now in the clear.
Yeah, the French probably won't hang on that much longer. I'd say as soon as Melby tacks, the French will tack, and they're just getting to the top third of the upwind leg now.
Well, in 59th overall, Vince Guidou, Jan Dorset, really keen, enthusiastic Swiss sailors loving it out here on the racetrack with some of the superstars of our sport. Marin Misura, Tonko, Barach, concentrating there in the middle of the racetrack.
Yeah, he's hanging on to the chainstay there as opposed to actually adjusting it, which is quite surprising. You'd never see Robert Scheidt or Kuznirovic doing that. They generally are hiking hard, and if their hand is in that direction, then they're actually, making an adjustment.
Well, Misura and Barak right next to Kuznirovic.
Yeah, we've just seen, if our virtual eye is correct, we've just seen the French tack onto starboard, and Elvin Melby and Josh Revkin tack onto starboard, so they're looking after each other and heading back to the left-hand side of the course on starboard tack now. So it would look as if that middle right is been strong, and initially on first call here, it looks like the French and the Norwegian Helman 1-2.
Okay, De La Torre, the Argentinian duo, overall 35th. So we're picking up some of the lead stories and some of the club races here at the Star Europeans, which is combined with the FSL Breeze Grand Slam.
Yeah, French team here now on screen, and a fantastic first upwind leg from them, and nice right-hander has come down the track, and they've opened up a little bit of a lead here, Digby. So yeah, Xavier not taking his foot off the pedal after yesterday.
And Kuznirovic and Mello, bow 6 sliding behind them, so they're within shouting distance of the leading French pair. Few places, 9 places between them. Rohart Ponceau in first, Kuznirovic Mello in 10th spot, Scheidt Björning mathematically in 7th. So, Prof, we've got a 7th and a 10th of our overall regatta leaders.
Yeah, I mean, they started pretty conservatively, Digby. They've got such a points cushion on 3rd and 4th overall that they didn't really need to do anything special, and they're just going to be looking Scheidt is going to be looking to try and neutralise the points advantage that Kuznirovic has on them, so they're just looking at each other principally, as opposed to looking at the rest of the competition at this stage.
Well, there's Benamati and Ambrosini, bow 13, 7th overall. Really consistent sailing with them. They're right next to Guido Gallinaro and Kilian Weiss. Look how close that is, Prof.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's amazing just looking at Scheidt from the leeward side there. You just can't see a single part of his body in the boat. He just hikes so hard, and he's just set up to leeward of Frederick Loof. And the interesting thing now is that Rohart is just getting out now towards the starboard ley line, and if our virtual eye is correct, is tacking onto starboard ley, and is going to have a nice lead over Melby coming to this windward mark.
So let's just jump back out onto the water to Shirley Robertson.
Digby, we're right by that windward mark, watching the French pairing round, and they've done so well. They've got a good 50 metres of separation between them and the Norwegians in second place. So outstanding feat. It was all about the shifts and the rain clouds, and no 2 races are ever the same here on Garda, even although they can look a bit similar. But yeah, fantastic sailing by them. In 3rd place, it's a German, I can't quite see which one. and then Negri in 4th. And Scheid, he's done really well in that top half of the beat. He's just rounded in 5th spot, and as Prof said, you know, he's hiking hard. He really wants to neutralise that point difference between him and Kuzmirovic.
Big news for me, guys, is Merkel Black rounding in 3rd. I mean, that is a fantastic upwind from them, and bearing in mind that they're in 10th position, you know, they've got a big points advantage now on the O'Learys, who came unstuck on that hard left-hand side and that upwind leg. So that's a superb upwind leg from Merkel Black, and they'll be delighted with that score after that first upwind. So good stuff from them.
Well, Prof, interesting to see both Melby and Revkin, Merkelbach and Coy, 2 boats in the danger zone, absolutely smashing this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's very impressive from them. The scores on screen aren't showing Merkelbach, but I'm pretty sure on VT that we saw Merkelbach going around in 3rd.
Well, let's bear that in mind as we go around the track. That one of the tracks looks like is off the German duo, but we'll be using our cameras for the visuals as we're on board with Mateusz Kuzmirovic and Federico Mello.
Yeah, so we can see, you know, a little bit of a split strategy now coming from the fleet. Most boats opted for a bare way, standing on starboard jibe, maybe getting away from that bad air at the top of the cone, and then the leaders then jibing onto port. So Rohart and Ponso on port now, with Melby jibing after them as well. So really good lead from the French right now from Melby. They're all starting to go over onto port jibe and head downwind.
Missouri and Barak just jibing around and heading downwind. Great view from our onboard cameras. Rohard Ponso at the front, beginning to pull away some 60 meters ahead of Melby Revkin. Remember, that's the German duo. Hubert Merkelbach, Marcus Coy are in there and fighting for survival. They started 10th overall today. They're in 3rd position around that top mark. And surely we will be keeping an eye on the German duo of Merkelbach and Coy, whose tracker we don't have at the moment for viewers at home, but also Melby and Revkin.
Well, Digby, we're on our way down to the front runner, so we might be able to update you on that. But to me, as we approach, Robert Scheid and Henry Boning have done so well. They're currently in 3rd spot and just accelerating down this run.
Isn't that extraordinary? You know, I think Scheid went round in 5th. And has already put the afterburners on downwind, Digby. So Scheid not taking any prisoners here. He's still in the same area of this run, left-hand side of the track as Kuzmirovic. So not taking any chances that Kuzmirovic is going to try and pick something off. And for sure, Robert Scheid in these stronger wind conditions. Here we have him just jibing onto starboard jibe. Henry Boney getting the pole out on the starboard side, and a fantastic jibe there. Really getting the jib out quickly and straight into downwind mode there on the other jibe.
Well, they're sliding ahead of Diego Negri and Fritjof Clean, bow 9 in the background. But look at this fiery helmsman, Robert Scheid, with Henry Boning fighting to get back on the top of the overall leaderboard, and it looks like he has done it. If you look at the projected points, which counts where they are on the racetrack right now, plus all 8 races, Scheid Björning now 3 points mathematically ahead of Kuzmirovic and Mello. So a change in race 9 at the top of the overall points, and here we're looking at the fight jump down to 10th, 11th, 12th. Of course, unfortunately, mathematically, we're not seeing Merkelbach and Coy in that calculation at the moment, so they will be in there, and they will have moved up from 10th probably up into 7th or 6th.
Yeah, they'll be really solidly in the top 10 now. Even if they haven't jumped a place, they'll certainly be more comfortable points-wise. And yeah, God, it looks pretty miserable out there right now, Digby, to be honest with you. On board with Mateus and Federico, you can see the crews are back in the cockpit as opposed to up by the mast, which means that the breeze is strengthened a little bit, and it's looking, looking not that pleasant out there. But it's interesting when you're out in the race course, you just tune out the rain and the cold because there's just so much adrenaline pumping through the system. You're just interested in, you're just locked into the race itself.
Well, Marin Mirzura there, helming on board the Croatian boat with Tonko Barak, his friend and crewman.
Big lead from Rohart, Digby. They're already out to 71 metres, so Rohart is showing some fantastic downwind speed. But look at Robert Scheidt as well. You know, he's really pushing
on a charge,
he's
Prof.
really pushing hard to try and close in on Elvin Melleby and Josh Revkin.
Rohart Ponso pulling out even more distance out at front, really smooth.
A bit static there from Xavier, not seeing much main sheet action out of him, but it seems to be working for him because he's extended away. I'm not sure if he's laying down there into the right-hand gate right now, and if he is, you'd expect him to stand on starboard for a short period and then perhaps work back into the middle of the race course.
Back on board with Mizura and Barak, the Croatians. And I'm going to ask our director actually to try and get a visual on Merkelbach and Coy so that we can tell geographically where they are, because their tracker has dropped out. So if our cameras can try and find them, see where they are in relation to the front runners, and then we can update you as to where the German duo are. Meanwhile, let's check in with the Irish boats, the O'Learys. They now are down into 13th overall, probably 14th, because Merkelbach and Coy, mathematically they put them in. They put them back in. The Irish chaps, where are they on the racetrack?
They were hard left on the first Upwind, Digby, so not sure exactly where they rounded that top mark. But certainly they've got a lot of work to do. They were the hard left just didn't come through at all for them. So they've got a lot of work to do here to try and pick off some spots. But plenty of racing left.
Indeed.
So they'll be pushing hard.
Well, if we quickly jump to Virtual Eye, they can show us where O'Leary and O'Leary are in the
23rd
race course and well back.
Yeah, and Paul Caird in 22nd as well. I mean, you know, Caird is pretty safe in the top 10, but the O'Learys will have dropped out of the top 10 now, and Merkelbach and Melleby will have half a hand on that solid top 10 position, as will the Croatians. They would probably have popped up there as well. Projected points, will be a quick look here.
And here we are, and their tracker's fired up again, which is great news. Well done, team. And there is Marcus Coy, the big crewman, works for North Sails with Dr. Hubert Merkelbach. Together, these guys won the European Championship a few years back on the lakes. So a great duo. They know each other well, and they're doing a super job here in race number 9. We think they were third around the top, Prof, and now they're heading downwind. And
nice.
Hubert Merkelbach is he's a doctor, an orthopedic surgeon. He runs a surgery up in Germany, and he's certainly not a professional sailor. There's quite a few of these guys that we're seeing and talking about so much, like your Roharts and Scheids and Mellebys and so on. But Merkelbach is Dr. Hubert Merkelbach is a pure amateur, and it's magic to see him in the top 10.
You know, absolutely wonderful for somebody who sailing is his passion and his sport and his hobby, as opposed to his profession. So it's absolutely fantastic to see.
Meanwhile, another German crew, big German entry. I think there were over 20 entries from Germany. Biggest entry at the star class Europeans, and followed by a good Italian entry as well.
Yeah.
But let's move our way back towards the front, and the action here with the Brazilian team just holding off Ivan Melleby and Josh Revkin, bows 3 and 10.
So you can see Scheid and Bjonik here really going for downwinds. They're in starboard jibe here, so they're crossing ahead of Melleby. So Melleby went around second, and Scheid has already blasted his way into second on this racetrack.
And you can see, compared to Xavier Rohart, Robert Scheid helming away, and just so much movement, so much effort, and he's a dynamo downwind, one of the best all-round downwind sailors in any boat, any class on the planet right now. So towards the bottom gates, we were having Rohart and Ponceau rounding in first position, followed by Scheid and Björning, who've clawed their way into second. There are the French duo round one of the gates they can choose, and it looks to me like Scheid and Björning are going for the opposite gate.
Yeah, so Rohart's gone right gate, right turn, and Scheid's gone left gate, left turn. And if I were Rohart now, I would be looking nervously over my shoulder at the Brazilian maestro. And
well, Scheid and Björning just clearing some of the boats coming downwind, and of course clearing away from all that bad air, the exhaust coming from the downwind boats. Rohart also out onto the port ley line, heading out into clean air. And at some stage, Scheid and Björning are going to have to tack, so they will find their little way and decide when to tack through the fleet to re-engage with Rohart and Ponceau.
I didn't quite catch the how far in time terms the Rohart turn and the Scheid turn
It was seconds, Prof. Seconds.
So what that tells me is that there was a big advantage to the mark that Scheid went around, because certainly it looked in distance terms that Rohart had a little bit more than Scheid. So he may have pulled back a little bit of that deficit just by going around that mark. But if this middle right starts to pay, then Scheid will put further pressure on Rohart. It all depends on what phase the wind is. Rohart standing on a starboard, maybe he feels the breezes in right phase, and Scheid is standing on port, so maybe he feels the breezes in left phase.
And a good view from virtual eye. Kayard Lopez about to round, and there the O'Leary brothers. They're also about to round on the opposite gate, the right-hand gate, as we look up the racetrack. Kuzminovic and Melo, they chose the right, and the Croatians, I'm not sure where they are on the racetrack. They're still heading downwind? No, they're heading...
Yeah, they're just going around his crew here, just putting the runners back, getting the brig back from leaning over the bow into its upwind position, and jib tracks in, jib down, jib sheet in, and into upwind mode. So Scheid and Björning still going hard right, followed by Melleby, and looks like Rohart is standing on starboard tack into the left. So big split here in strategy, Digby, and it's going to be really interesting now. Rohart on virtual eye still quite a long way ahead, and Scheid just waiting for that right-hander to try and tap back.
Well, we'll catch up quickly with Shirley. She's been down there at that bottom gate, and we're seeing a real tactical game with Rohart on the left and Robert Scheid, Henry Björning heading out to the right-hand side. Shirley. We'll patch back into Shirley. She's I think she'll probably be trying to reposition and get back up with the
difficult
leaders.
Sometimes, you know, when you're on the water, when you're not in the race boat, to see exactly who's ahead and who's behind, because it's quite tricky. It's but on the virtual eye here, Rohart now has tapped onto port and is coming out of the left-hand side, and initially is looking strong, but there's such separation here, Digby. You just need the breeze to shift a few degrees, and with that level of separation, it can make a big difference to the positions on the race course.
That's really great, Prof. Good racing, really tight, good tactical racing, and I'm rather pleased actually that the wind has shifted round to the north.
Yeah, it just has opened up the race course. I mean, what we've seen in the first 2 days when the breeze is blowing from the south, that right-hand side really dominated. But this has opened up this race course to a much, you can arguably say, fairer race course where there's a lot more tactical options.
Certainly favoured by our local laser coach Fabio Zaini, who we spoke to about the Pelair wind, the cool breezes coming down off the mountains and flowing through Riva and Torboli from north to south, which is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, Melby's tacked back onto starboard, so he's obviously trying to get back there into the middle. Scheit's still standing on, and but Rohart looking very strong, very strong, and
Rohart also beginning to pull their way back into the racecourse. They've got Diego Negri, Fritjof clean just below them, also playing a tactically conservative game. But Scheid and Björning, it looks like they're getting headed there, Bob.
Well,
away they go.
Rohart's still looking strong, so we will see how Scheid looks when he's coming in from the right-hand side on starboard.
Well, the Illyri's in 22nd position, and they are fighting for survival in the competition today. They were in 11th overall coming into race number 9, and now down in 22nd, so they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, tough going for them. You know, they've decided to go right on this upwind as opposed to the hard left, which didn't work for them on that first upwind leg. So I guess, you know, they're just going to play this right-hand side pretty hard and see if they can pick up something. So, yeah, good view here on the virtual eye. So what we have here, Digby, is Scheid now solidly in second place and looking now to converge with Rohart and engage with him. So if Scheid can just manage to get within, you know, 30 or 40 metres of Rohart, I'd reckon that there's going to be a massive battle on this final one.
Well, Schönher and Eli Gravad from Denmark.
Yeah, Jorgen Schönher, they're in battle 17 on starboard tack, and
these guys were 27th this morning, Prof.
Yeah,
at the moment, a little out of contention.
Yeah, very decorated Danish sailor though, has won a lot of major events in the drag, as you can see on screen here.
Which you know well.
Yeah, tough class to win, and I'll tell you, a lot of very talented sailors in the Dragon fleet, and quite a few Dragon sailors here racing in the Starfleet too. You know, both of them keel boats, but the Dragon a little bit of a different style of boat.
And here we are seeing the top 2 boats. Great 2-boat shot here with Robert Scheid bow, number 3, Henry Björning, the Brazilians with their green bibs, versus the Frenchman Xavier Rohart, Pierre Alexis Ponceau. Beg your pardon, we're looking at Ivan Meleby, Josh Redkin, bow 10. So those guys are up there in 5th, and Scheid Björning in 2nd spot.
35 metres, Digby. You know, Rohart is closing. Scheid is closing on Rohart. I mean, Scheid looks to be going very quick indeed. But
now we're going to come up for a cross.
Yeah.
And perhaps we'll see that in our live pictures, the front 2 boats, and get a visual on the distance between the leader and Scheid and Björning tracking in, crossing behind Rohart and Ponceau.
Yeah, big move here now to see what will happen, whether Rohart will tack cover or will he allow the Brazilian to get to the left. At the moment they're splitting, and Rohart's standing on her port and Scheid's got inside him, and then the next play will be what shift happens. Will it shift to the right to give the French a little further advantage, or will it move left and allow the Brazilian helm to pick off a few more meters?
Well, you can see Pierre Alexis crewman on board the French boat just talking to his skipper. Meanwhile, in the 20s position, the Irish crew.
Yeah, that's O'Leary's Peter there, adjusting the upper runner, releasing it a little bit, just to give the boat a little bit more power, and maybe he's just seen a little light patch, and here they're tacking over, you know, a long way down underneath that boom, because the boom is really rammed close down onto the deck. Main sheet is eased there at the back, and as they accelerate out of the tack, the mainsail comes back in, and you know, 50, 75 mils between the blocks as they sheet on after the tack.
Well, they've certainly brought a little bit of the Cork weather with them, haven't they, Ross?
Certainly is a fairly
soft day.
It's certainly a soft day right now, Digby, for sure. But here's Rohart signing his confidence, actually, Digby. He's standing on in port, not tacking to cover Shite, and Shite has stepped up and is set up to win it on the left-hand side. So he's opened himself up for a little bit of risk, but maybe he just doesn't fancy engaging in the battle with Shite right now. Looking over his shoulders, Avi, just checking out where Shite is. And, you know, if breeze goes right a little bit, it's good for the French. Breeze goes left a little bit, it's good for the Shite-Bionig partnership.
Okay, well, the French duo won race number 8 yesterday, and here they are at the front of the pack. But they have Shite and Bionig breathing down on them, and they will certainly be attacking on the downwind leg.
Yeah, I mean, what we're seeing is 35, 36 meters. It's looking now at 40 meters, so perhaps breeze is going right a little bit, and drawing the French a little bit further ahead. On board here now with Krishnerovich and Federico Melo. I'm not sure exactly, yeah, they're in 8th, so he will be keenly aware that Shite has now moved ahead of him in the leaderboard for that all-important buy straight into the 4-boat final.
Well, an extraordinary performance by Robert Shite and Henry Bionig, because Krishnerovich and Melo looked to have the advantage early on.
Yeah, it's not much of an advantage though when you got Robert Shite behind you. I think there were 4 points difference.
5 this morning.
5 points difference going into today, and Shite has already neutralised that and is a point ahead on the projected points, as you can see there on the screen. But really confident sailing by Rohart again, you know, not concerned with Shite up on his hip, and is just standing on here to look to work that middle right-hand side at the top of the track here and tack back onto starboard.
Well, in 13th overall, the duo from Torboli, Santoni and Lambertenghi, Sergio Lambertenghi, normally sails with Diego Negri, but a decorated star sailor. Still at the front, Rohart, Ponceau, Shite, Bionig burning in on their hip, both on port tack. Loof is in there, as are Krishnerovich and Melo.
Yeah, on board here with Krishnerovich, he has the upper backstay, upper runner in his hand, and just giving that a little tweak and pulling the runner just to twist the mainsail a little bit more, just to depower and go a little quicker.
Now, what can they do?
Oh, I'll tell you, it's going to be about Shite downwind now today in this leg coming up, because he was so quick on that first downwind. I think he went around the 5th around the first top mark, Digby, and he was up to 2nd at the bottom. So he took 3 boats down that first run. So he'll be looking to mow Rohart down on this run for sure and get back into the leader, into the top spot overall.
Well, Grail and Truche having a great race here, great race number 9.
Yeah,
as are Merkelbach and Coy, about 61.
Yeah, I mean, Merkelbach and Coy just had a fantastic upwind leg. I think they rounded the first mark in third, and that really solidifies their position into the top 10, which is what it's all about. And remember, we are going to have a second qualification race as well today, Digby. So, you know, it's not over yet. There's still going to be another race where things can change. But on screen here now, Merkelbach and Coy just tacking onto starboard.
Well, here's the bird's eye view from virtual eye. Rohar Ponceau in the lead, some 50 metres advantage over Scheid and Björning. Loof and Fatih are in there, as are Benemati and Ambrosini. Melleby, Redkin in fifth in this race. Kuznidovic and Mello in the sixth spot. And Merkelbach and Coy in around 10th, 11th, 12th. As the boat numbers flick up and down as the boats mathematically get towards that top mark.
What's really clever sailing now from Rohart and Ponceau, they've extended out about another 15, 18 metres, which means that the breeze is shifting to the right, and it would be unlikely that Rohart has much of a speed advantage on Scheid. It would be more than likely that the breeze is going to right phase, and that's favouring Rohart and drawing them further ahead.
Well, Kuznidovic and Mello are beginning to take a chance because they clawed back a little bit. The numbers we're seeing on the left of the screen are the projected overall points. So that's all 8 races plus where they are on the racetrack right now. So super tight at the top between our overall regatta leaders, our top 2, who will be battling to win the qualifying series to get a jump into the SSL Breeze Grand Slam finals this afternoon. Whoever's second will get a leap into the semi-finals. And remember, there's $100,000 prize money at stake. So that will all be divvied up between the top 20. And so these guys are not just racing for the glory and the pride.
Yeah, it's lucky sailors, Digby. It's one of the few events in the world that you actually have a cash prize. So yeah, that'll focus the mind certainly. And so Rohart tapped on the starboard, Scheid on starboard. So Scheid has acquiesced, and Rohart will be just looking to put the afterburners on now, just to get around this top mark ahead in this right-hander, and just trying to extend and put a bit of a cushion on Scheid to give him a bit of a cushion going downward.
Well, we lost Shirley's microphone. I'm just going to ask our director if we've got Shirley back online, because she will have been working her way up towards the top mark. Shirley, we have you back, and great sailing, obviously, by Rohard and Ponceau. Scheid Björning some 40 metres mathematically behind. Over to you, Shirley.
Well, Digby, yes, electronics and heavy rain don't always go together, but we're back in the game here in the Rib. I mean, it's extreme conditions, really rainy and pretty windy. I think the French duo have consolidated very well. I mean, they sailed their own race, they stayed on the lifted shift and really did well. Digby, I don't know about you, but I'm keeping an eye on the time as well, because they can't start a second qualification race today after 10 o'clock, and you think there's 20 minutes left of this race at least for the front runners. So this race could well decide who is in that all-important top 10. So yeah, the battle's on.
I think you're spot on, Shirley. The race committee just confirming with us that they cannot start the final qualifying race after 10 a.m. and that is some 25 minutes away, and it's unlikely they're going to be within time, Prof. So I think we are seeing,
I think so,
the deciding qualifying race.
Good news for Merkelbach, good news for Melleby.
Not so good news for your friends on the O'Learys.
Not so good news. Here we are looking at Robert Scheid and Henry Björning. Didn't quite see the distance, probably about 40 metres, so that's not enough for Rohart, to be honest with you, and Scheid will be looking to apply the squeeze going downhill.
Well, a 17-second delta between first rounding of Rohart Ponceau and then Scheid, Björning, the Brazilians behind them.
Yeah. And here we have Benamati, the 1991 world champion, has actually had a fantastic race, and he was 7th overall going into today, so a cracking race from Benamati.
Well, there's Melleby and Revkin going through. Allert and Van der Heugen just squeezing upwind and getting their bow round, followed by Guido Gallinari and Kilian Weiss. Guido, the youngster, the young laser radial sailor, and then Daniel Fritz from Germany with Arnie Boltins from the USA, and sliding inside them Mateusz Kuzniewicz and Federico Melo.
Yeah, nice upwind leg from them, just tapping in around the mark, and yeah, they'll be aware now that they've dropped to 2nd overall, and that will still give them a bye into the semi-final, Digby. And they'll all the teams will be aware too that, you know, we're not going to be able to start this race number 10.
Well, finally we caught a glimpse of Paul Cayard and Arthur Lopez, and we haven't been talking much about them, but they were 4th into this race, so comfortably within the top 10. Really consistent sailing by the great sailor Paul Cayard, past star world champ, America's Cup skipper, and all-round, round-the-world race winning skipper.
Cracking upwind from Cayard, to be fair. You know, he was deeper than 10th at that first gate, so he's very, very fast upwind, and because we were watching the leaders, Digby, didn't quite see where he went up that leg, but yeah, that's a super upwind leg from Cayard and Lopez.
Okay, Schunher and Gravad going around just ahead of Darlin and Nogun on bow 30, squeezing their way in. Uwe Barth from Germany with Stefan Rutz. So still pretty tight at the top mark, and now we are into the battle downwind towards the finish of race number 9, which we suspect, I mean, I'm not going to say for sure that this is the final qualifying race, but our money is on this being the final one, because they cannot start another race after 10 a.m. and local time we're at 9:37:38 a.m.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to have time.
Okay.
We still have boats going upwind, Digby,
yep.
And you know, you need to get this race finished and then get the course configured. So yeah, highly unlikely that there'll be a 10th qualification race. So it looks as if that this will be it. Lots of boats really having a lot of problems coming around this top mark. Boats head to wind. If you're on port tack like these guys are now, you've got no right of way. And yeah, maybe there was a big wind shift to the left, which caused them to struggle to lay.
Just caught a glimpse of the O'Learys going around, a little bit buried.
Rohart holding off Scheid here now, 58, 57 metres. So it'll be really interesting to see if Xavier has got that kind of static body position downwind and just using the helm and the waves, or will he be getting more dynamic like we've seen Robert Scheid do?
Well, on board with Mateusz Kuzniewicz and Federico Melo, they are fighting downwind to try and catch Scheid and Björning, and at the moment Scheid and Björning are smashing it in 2nd, which is probably going to see them at the top of the overall leaderboards. And I'm going to ask Virtual Eye to switch the points on the left-hand side of our screen to the overall projected points. And there you go, tied on 27 overall, Kuzniewicz, Melo, Scheid and Björning. So any place changing on the racetrack between these two is going to see who will come out on top of the qualifying round.
What's going to happen here now is if they tie on points, Digby,
because the race wins,
is Kuzniewicz will go through to the final because he's at 3 bullets, and I think Scheid has had just one first place in the regatta, so the tie-break will be split in favour of Kuzniewicz and Melo, and that has just happened because Kuzniewicz has just popped into 7th place in this race when he was 8th, and that was just to now allowed him to get to equal points with Scheid. So Scheid has to catch Rohart now if he wants to get back into that first place. But you can see Scheid working really hard, and
he's battling now.
Well, he's just really, really working hard to try and catch Rowe.
That's a big ask, Prof.
Can't see it happening, Digby. It's, you know, they're halfway down the run now, and Rohart's got 60 metres on him, and I just can't see it happening.
But the other story and potential is if Kuznirovic and Melo drop back, so they need to hang on to this position and fight to stay in seventh for the overall lead. How tight is that?
Yeah.
Same on projected points overall, battling down towards the finish of what we're pretty sure is the final qualifying race in the Star Sailors League Breeze Grand Slam. Kuznirovic and Melo jiving away, fighting. You can see how close they are fighting for the boats behind, and they've got Grail and Trush and Merkelbach and Coy, and these guys breathing down their neck.
Yeah, super sailing actually by Kuznirovic. You know, I suspect that jived just to cover off some of the boats that were a little bit further east on the racecourse than him. So nice move. And here we have Merkelbach and big Marcus Coy, and you know, nice smooth racing them. You know, just easing back from their third at the first top mark to you know, the latter halves of the top 10, but that they'll be very pleased with that, because that just gets them into the real solidifies the position.
And how about this just below them in ninth position, Alat and Van der Hooden up into that ninth overall place. So these guys, we haven't talked much about them, but they're having an absolute blinder in race number 9.
Yes, indeed, Digby. Just trying to see what...
Back of the envelope maths going on here in the studio.
Back of a fag package. No fag package to hand. Here we have Xavier, and it's very interesting. You know, he doesn't have the main sheet in his hand, as we've seen in the first downwind as well. So just looking to, you know, use the setup of the boat for speed. So not as kinetic at all as Rohart is. And his crewmate, Pierre-Alexis Ponceau, well forward, which is interesting, given how much wind that there is, and both rocking a lot, but not deliberately, I would say. He's just got the boat set up to rock. Probably the Vang eased a little bit, and he's got a nice tidy lead there over Robert Scheidt and Henry Bionik.
Well, Shirley's been working her way from the top mark around the fleet, hopefully catching up towards the front of the pack. Shirley, can we get a quick update from you?
Hi. I'm here, Digby.
Well done.
Just trying to keep the mic dry. Just trying to keep the mic dry. I mean, we're right beside Rohart and Ponceau. It's so interesting, isn't it? The different styles. It really is. But you know, it's relatively flat water, and they both seem to be working. I mean, Robert Scheidt's not really making any impression, but he's really trying. And I've watched him. I've looked behind quite a lot as well. I mean, he is all over where the Polish team is. I mean, he really wants to win this qualifying round and get that that straightforward positioning into the final. But not long to go now, about 400 metres to the finish, so it looks like the French team are pretty safe in their victory of this race.
Thank you, Shirley. We can hear the rain spattering down out there on the racetrack, so fairly tough conditions. Confirmation from the race office that they're 80% sure that there isn't going to be a second race today, so I think we are seeing the finale of the qualifying rounds. Remember that we go into the SSL Breeze quarterfinals, semis and finals. Only the top 10 will go through, and here on the left of our screen we can see that Merkelbach and Coy are just clinging on to 10th. They can't lose any more places.
Well, they'll be pretty. Yeah, they can't lose any more places. And for me, what's happened here is that jibe across has cost Kuznirovic and Melo a spot, and that means that Scheidt and Bionik have now popped ahead. So it's really all down to these last couple of 100 metres, Digby, as to which one of these teams goes through with their bye to the final. And there's nothing Robert Scheidt and Henry Bjorning can do right now. So it's all how Mateus and Federico race the last couple of 100 metres of this leg.
Well, we see virtually there they are in the middle of the track. They've got a bit of clean air behind them. They're working their way back into attack Gallinaro and Weiser. That's the view from down the fleet towards the finish with Scheidt and Rohard and Ponceau on the right. And there, look at Robert Scheidt really gunning for the Frenchman.
Yeah, but too much to do. Scheidt has left him too much to do. So, I mean, the gap here was established by Rohart from the top of that second beat, where Rohart just worked the right-hand side and just got that little right-hand shift, which just extended and gave him another 10 or 15 metres, which has given him a bit more of a buffer downwind.
Well, interesting.
Melo now has been passed again by Gallinaro, a young laser sailor who's had a fantastic race, and you know, laser sailors can certainly sail downwind, and Gallinaro will not want to be give up that 7th place very easily.
Okay, so Xavier Rohart, the French skipper, and they had that race win in race number 8 yesterday, and one of our colleagues here, Seb, is telling us that Xavier is like a diesel engine. You know, he kind of takes a little bit of time to warm up and get going, but that French duo really chugging away now at the front of this fleet down towards the finish line. Projected points, and this is really interesting, Prof, because the actual story is on Kuznirovic and Melo. Can they claw back one more place? The real story in this race. We've seen, we can see the French guys go through the line. We can see Scheidt and Bjorning go through the line. But the real story for our cameras and director out there is the battle between the Polish-Portuguese duo and the guys around them.
Yeah, really, and you know, Kuznirovic is only 10, 15 metres behind Gallinaro, and the big Polish helm will be looking to try and catch Gallinaro in these last few 100 metres coming down to this gate, and that really is going to be where the game is at now for the top qualifier.
So, winning race number 9, Frenchman Xavier Rohart, Pierre-Alexis Ponceau. They're giving each other a big high five, big hugs, and the boats out there on the water enjoying that. A great performance by Rohart and Ponceau. Second through the line in race number 9, the amazing performance by Robert Scheidt and Henry Bjorning, which could indeed see them at the top of the overall rankings in this probable final qualifying race. Coming behind them, it's Benamati and Ambrosini, but we're looking for the race of Kuznirovic and Melo. Can they take Meleby and Revkin next to them? There are 5 boats in a line coming down towards that line, and Prof, that's going to be a good finish.
It's the 4 boats to the left of Kuznirovic, whether they will lay down in one and beat Kuznirovic and Melo to the line, or will there be a jibe? It looks to me that they'll probably all lay down in one, and it just, you know, from Mateus and Federico, whether they can nip a slot there.
Well, Benamati and Ambrosini through there, and just asking the race committee if there's going to be another one, and they can't obviously confirm until everybody has finished this race, but they are not in the rules. They have to start the final 10th qualifying race before 10, and it's unlikely because they're about 11 minutes to go. So here we go. This is the race for the overall lead in the qualifiers, and where they go, Negri and Clean in there, bow 6, Mateus, Kuznirovic, Federico Melo. They have done it. I think they've just taken 3 boats on that finish line, Prof, and you can see the joy on their face. That was an extraordinary piece of sailing, and I'm pretty sure that is going to see them at the top of the overall rankings in the qualifying rounds to leap straight through to the finals of the SSL Breeze Grand Slam, the Star European. Europeans.
Yeah, you know, those four boats probably just slowed each other down, to be honest with you, Digby, and just a bit of messing around up there, and that just allowed Krishnerovic just to cruise through to leeward and pop over the line. I think he probably got up to fourth.
Fourth across the line. What an astonishing downwind leg. That final few furlongs by the Polish duo, and there they are, 3 points clear in our projected points, 3 points clear of Scheid and Björning. So Robert Scheid, Henry Björning couldn't have done much more in that race, but it was in those final moments that Krishnerovic and Mello came piling through to overtake the three boats. That was fantastic racing.
Absolutely fantastic. And for Mateus and Federico, it means that they can get in, get warm, get some food, and they don't have to now sail the quarter or the semi, you know, so they can come out for the final now really super fresh.
Whew. Good finale there.
That was fantastic sailing from Krishnerovic, and it just showed that initial jibe onto port where he went across and lost a slot, and then he set up outside of them with a lovely lane, and then they managed to slide down to leeward and pass those four boats. They will be delighted with that, and very, very strong sailing from Mateus and Federico.
Well, okay, as the rest of the fleet come through the line, there's still plenty of story in this race number 9. The boats having to stay around, the committee boats, because there are some 9 minutes, but it's really unlikely that they're going to be able to start before 10 as the mass come through. Ponceau, Roja, big smiles, and they are really happy, waving to us. So I wanted to just jump to, if I could ask Virtual Eye to jump to the projected points on the left as the O'Learys come down through the finish line.
Yeah, tough day for them now. You know, just that left-hand side was nowhere near like what they had hoped it to be, and they just had too much to do on that.
So the news is, and these are provisional results, on 99 points in 10th position, Dr. Hubert Merkelbach and Marcus Coy have just made it into the top 10 overall to survive in this championship. Alert van der Hoeden, at one stage they were in. They started today, I think, in 13th position. That's correct, and they finished in 11th. So they fought hard in that race, as did Missouri and Barac, who will not make the quarterfinals. Grail and Trush, who had that wonderful port-style flyer. Off they went, and the O'Learys are out. But it is interesting to see Merkelbach and Coy in, as are Melleby and Redkin. Now, Prof, I beg your pardon, let's have a little review. Perhaps you can talk us through the race action of race number 9.
Sure. Yeah, tough conditions, cold and windy, and as we've seen here, most of the players started in the middle third of the line. You can see just a bunch of them coming off the middle of the line there, except for Lars Grail, who had a beautiful start out of the port end. So once again, the port end of the line initially favoured, and cracking start there from Krishnerovic as well with the other, and here's on board with them. Here's the Croatians, and just sheet the main a little harder there, guys, a little bit too eased, and the initial leader here was Lars Grail and Pedro Trush, who was very, very strong from the left-hand side of the first part of that race. But then a lot of the key players just got onto port and started dragging back into the middle of the race course, and then the right started to play through as the shift started to come down. So as we get to the top mark, and leading at the top mark again following the race win yesterday was Xavier Rohart, bronze medalist from Athens in 04, double world champion in 03 and 05, and a very strong upwind leg from him. And here we see Merkelbach and Coy rounding third. brilliant upwind from them because they're on the cusp of the top 10. So great upwind leg from Hubert Merkelbach and big Marcus Coy. But Scheidt and Boning just got the afterburners on. They rounded the top mark in 5th, and here they are blasting through to 2nd on that leg, taking 3 places on that downwind to put pressure on Xavier Rohart and Pierre-Alexis Ponceau, and even more so because Xavier and Pierre went right gate, right turn, and Scheidt and Bjonig went left gate, left turn at the bottom of the run. So the rain teeming down here in that 2nd downwind leg, and here we can see Xavier and Pierre going right gate, right turn, standing on starboard, and then Scheidt in shot here, coming around the left mark and standing on port. So yeah, split gates here, and but it's interesting that Rohart and Ponceau just continued on starboard and left Scheidt off the hook. Scheidt obviously looking to split and to see if he could pick something up on the right hand side. And here we have Scheidt coming back on starboard to windward of Elvin Melby and Joshua Revkin, and the French coming back out of the left hand side on port now, but looking very confident because they allowed Scheidt then to cross behind, and but Xavier just stood on port, as we can see here, over to the right hand side of the course, and extended a little bit as that right-hander started to come down. So Xavier and Pierre tacked onto starboard, and they probably had a lead of about 50 metres at that first mark, at that 2nd windward mark. So very nice, strong upwind leg from them. Merkelbach and Coy drop back a little bit, but that won't bother them too much. And interesting, Krishnerovich on the charge. Think he came around this windward mark onto the last run in 8th, and at this point Scheidt and Bonig were in 1st overall, and Krishnerovich and Melo were in 2nd overall for that buy into the final. And super smooth sailing here from Xavier and Pierre to actually extend on that run, if anything, which is a rare thing to do when you've got Robert Scheidt behind you. So a cracking race for the French to follow up their bullet yesterday with another bullet today. So they're into the final, obviously, as is Scheidt, and then Scheidt just had to wait. And here we see Krishnerovich and Melo just blasting through to leeward and taking 4 boats in that last 100 metres, and absolute joy for the Polish-Portuguese partnership in getting straight through to the final.
Good work, Prof. Well, live shots from the water. Confirmation from the race committee that that is it for the qualifying round. So the callers will be this afternoon, starting at 1300. That's the plan, the intention. But here are the provisional results of the qualifying rounds of the Star Europeans and the SSL Breeze Grand Slam. Krishnerovich and Melo, as we just saw, that amazing finish, have topped the leaderboard as the first qualifier, so they'll get a jump into the final where 4 boats will be racing this afternoon. Scheidt and Bjonig, they're jumping into the semi-finals, and the rest of the qualifiers, they're racing in the quarterfinals. Negri, Clean, Kayard, Lopez, Rohart and Ponceau, Benamati, Ambrosini, Doyle, Infeliz, Loof and Fatih, Melby and Redkin, and then the good German doctor Hubert Merkelbach with Marcus Coy. So that is what we're going to see this afternoon, and just factually, if we have no more racing and the breeze just disappears, that the results stand as they are.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like those results stand, and what's really interesting is in those top 10 players, 8 of them are former world champions, are European champions. So Hubert Merkelbach, as an amateur sailor and as a doctor, to get in there, fantastic for him.
Oh, that's good news. Well, we're getting quite excited because we're going to come off air in a minute and then come back on for another broadcast this afternoon for the quarterfinals, semis and finals. Meanwhile, apparently on that last leg, Freddie Loof lost his mast, Prof. And these
Yeah.
are recorded shots from just a few minutes ago. I mean, he's still qualified into the top 10, but they're going to have to come back and put a new mast on.
Yeah, and they'll be under pressure, you know, because you know, it's not an insignificant operation changing rigs. You got to get the old one out and all the bits off, and then you got to get your new rig in. You got to change mainsail, possibly change jib as well, because the jib could well be damaged too. And you know, poor Brian Fatty, you know, that's the last thing he needs now on his knees, carrying that back injury. So yeah, it's so easy to do in the Star. You just dip the pole in and the rig comes down in two pieces. Very easily done.
Well, so we'll update you on that. So they'll be coming back in to reset and put another mast on and to get back out there to battle. And the schedule this afternoon, as we mentioned, is the 8 boats going into the quarterfinals and then into the semis, and then 4 boats battling for the finals. And as well as the SSL Breeze Grand Slam, they're going to be racing for this Star Class European Championship
this
trophy.
Beautiful piece of sterling silver. The names on it go back to 1962 Digby, you know, going back to some fantastic names like the great sailor Gorta Stegui, and then Ding Shoemaker, Mark Reynolds, the double Olympic medalist from America, the flamboyant American Tom Blackhauler, the Hubert Raudeschel, whose son Florian is sailing here in the event. And then we have Michael Hesbeck from Denmark, who is a fantastic 49er and laser sailor. And also we have the Australian Colin Beechel, who was the main sheet trimmer in Australia too in 1983 in that great victory. So some fantastic history there on the trophy.
Well, that is at stake, as are $100,000 US prize money divvied up between the top 20. We're going to be coming back on air at about 20 minutes before 1 p.m. local time with the quarters and the semis and the finals. But for just a few minutes, a little breather, a little break, time to get some breakfast, Prof. That's us for a short while from Lake Garda in northern Italy.